Dwayne here, PhoenixTypewriter.com. We're going to show how to remove the Platen and Ratchet assembly on this Smith Corona 4 Series Silent from the 40s or somewhere along there. This particular machine is a disaster. Got corrosion problems, rust problems. I've been trying to bring it back to life, but I don't know. But we're going to show how to take the Platen, the Ratchet, and the paper pan out of this real quick. And so let's start with, there's a couple screws on that paper pan underneath this carriage. Okay, there's one right here. It's a little screw. Remove it. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. A lot of times these get removed along the way. So remove that. It just looks like that. There's also one on the other side. It's already missing right there. So no screw, that's good. Okay, take those two out. Let's start with that. Then we're going to remove this Platen on this side. With some of these have a different bracket. This one has one that slides out. You loosen these two screws and it slides backwards. You can do that without taking the knob off. Oh yeah, that screw's pretty tight. There it goes. And that one. Okay. And then this bracket will slide backwards, or that away. And sometimes you gotta, but it goes back, forward and back. It opens up this gap right here for the Platen to come out of. There's also a, okay, open that up. I'll show you when this side you gotta pull this variable out. So pull the variable out so it spins, and then we can just pop this Platen out from this side. Just lift up through that gap and pull it on out. This bracket, if that Platen doesn't sit flat, it's actually got an adjustment right here, a bending adjustment that holds that collar tight. So you got to check that occasionally. Make sure it's tight but not too tight. So that's how that piece works. Now we got this roller out of here. Next thing we're going to do is take the ratchet out here. And let's move this guide piece out of the way here. And this back. And we need to take this variable plunger out. It's got a little nut over here. You can just grip it with something and turn this little chrome knobby and loosen it, and then that will unscrew. You can hold that, take the nut off. Pretty small little nut, but it's important. And then the shaft will come right out of here, just like that. And it might be sticky. You gotta, sometimes those get pretty sticky after a long time. So now we're going to take this knob off and the shaft it's connected to, which is this guy right there. So when you turn this, that turns. We're going to take those two apart with a couple screws right here. You can just loosen these and keep these in a couple turns. That should separate off of there. That's tight. Okay, and then that shaft will push right out and push right into my finger right there. This again might be gummed up. You need to push it out when you get done, clean it up. Those two go back together. Clean everything up, the side and the interior there, because oil gets really gummed up. Okay, let's loosen this little guy right here. It's got a nut on the bottom here, so it's a collar and it tightens down, but sometimes you can just unscrew it without. Okay, yeah, it's going. Okay, I'm just going to unloosen it about 3 turns. I'm going to leave that nut on the bottom. See, there's a nut, lock nut down here, right there. Just leave it in there, but loosen it. And then we can pull the ratchet out of here. This gets gummed up on the shaft. Kind of pops out of place here. It snapped out of there because the Platen detent under spring load just came off the ratchet. We'll deal with that in a minute. But you can manipulate it off of there and take it off and leave this piece just dangling. Clean this up, clean it inside, clean it. And then we can just leave this collar on there. And then we can get the paper pan out of here. So this one now is pretty loose. It's just going to come out of here, just like most typewriters. And there we go. Those screws got to be out. That screw's got to be out. And there you go. And you can clean this as needed. This one is a disaster. Just rust and corrosion, dirt, permanent dirt. Alright, so we left the spring on here, over here. This is still intact. The paper release spring is still engaged because we didn't loosen the screw that is connected to us. So you can leave that just like that. And now it's time to reassemble, except for what I wanted to talk about was this Platen detent. It's kind of hard to see, but it's let's take this off all the way, move it up. It's that detent, and it's right there, and it's spring loaded, so if you move the screwdriver you can see it move. That needs to move down out of the way when we put the ratchet back. So take something like this, a flat tool, and there's a spot back here, right back here against this mechanism. Just stick it in there and you can, that brings it out of the way. So now it's, when you lift up like this, it's moving that detent out of the, you can see it move. There you go, see it down there? Moves out of the way, because when you put that ratchet back on here, at some point you're going to have to spring this out so you can get the teeth past that. So we can leave that right in there if you want, or I'm going to leave it in there. Turn this thing around. So first thing to reassemble will be, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just put this back in place here. So you can take a look and see how that goes around, just like that. Just going to leave it on there for now, and then we're going to put the paper pan back in here. So we can get this back in here and just settle it on in. And if this is, you know, pulled forward, you can get that to pop in those 2 holes right there. It's in there. So we'll just leave it just like that. And we're going to come over here and work on this, getting the ratchet back in here. So I've still got the tool, lift up and it moves that. You can see the detent right there. Move up. So let's put the ratchet back in here. You can manipulate this over to the edge, and you need to get it underneath this little lip here. There's a there's a little piece right here. The ratchet has to go under there, right there. And you just slip it back on. So that piece has to be, you know, in that little groove. This piece needs to be nice and flush, and that piece on the other side of the ratchet there. Okay, so our goal is to get this, see the center, you'll know it's in there all the way, and these two pieces are flush against each other. Right now there's a lip right there. So like I said, move this up, squeeze it around, move the ratchet a little bit, and there it goes, it popped right in the, so these two pieces are flush now. And then you'll know it's in there all the way, these two pieces. There's two rings there, so if it was sticking out, like, trying to move it back out. So if it has any kind of gap there, like that, it needs to be flush. And you can pull the tool out, and you can probably turn this and feel the clicks. Let me see. Yeah. So I'm turning that. It's got the detents going. So now let's put this piece back in here, and see that'll fit nice and flush now. And we'll just put the knob back on. Hold that tight against there. I'm just going to do this. Tighten these up. You don't want it too tight. You don't want that to spin free. So it should have just a, you know, just a hair of play. I'm going to give it a little more play, because it can be a little bit, I mean just a little bit. Okay, so it's just got just the slightest amount of play. I'm going to tighten these up. Okay. So that's all together. Now we need to put this piece back in center and just connect our, put that nut on here. Put that nut on here. And put this back on. That. Get the platen back in here pretty quick here. Pull that piece out so it's this way, and we're just going to stick this, move the carriage, move this gizmo out of the way, put it in there. Got to move this paper release out of the way so the slot's open. Stick this on this side, make sure it gets almost all the way to the collar. And then this side's going to line up. It's not all the way in. See, it's got a little ways to go. Just keep manipulating it. There it goes. Then this collar will line up. Close. Down and close. And retighten. Real quick. Check it, see if it's loose at all. Nope, it's nice and tight. That's it. She's back in order. And plug the little guy in, and you got your ratchets, and everything is in order. And that's how you do a Platen. Sticky. This machine needs a lot of help. Alright, good day, folks.